2.0 version of the gentleman. We did this a year ago, and I have 10 pages here of notes that are all over the place and probably grammatically incorrect. And this is probably going to be just as big of a mess as the first one, but I figured we're going to run it anyways because there are some things that we need to update with that list.
Okay.
So, as always, I'm Chris. This is my beautiful wife, Peaches. We are going to, for those of you who are new here and have never witnessed the To Be Better podcast in all of our glory, we are not professionals in any way, shape, or form. We are just two people that are overly opinionated and people tend to like it. Some hate it. That's okay. If you do like it, go ahead and share the content, send it to other people. Maybe they'll like it too, and then you guys can talk about it. Subscribe to the channel. All that fun stuff that YouTubers tell you to do. Did I cover all the bases?
That was good, yeah.
Dope. All right. So if you watched the first Gentleman episode, there's going to be a recap because some of these things are part of that. We have added some things. I'm going to read the point. We may or may not discuss and then go to the next point. Some of these are going to co-align, but they're not going to be together because I literally just typed this up today. All right. All right. Things that I believe that make a man a gentleman, if you want to call it that. First and foremost, to be a gentleman is to be a protector, a provider, and a leader. We preach this constantly on our podcast. Protect, provide, preside is a phrase that is used by Ryan Michler, who is the founder of the Order of Man. He is an author, a podcaster, and that phrase resonates with me. And though preside basically means to lead, and it doesn't sound as fancy as to say protect, provide, and lead, I don't want to bite his shit, so it's protect, provide, lead. So the first three things that makes a man is being able to protect everyone that he loves, provide for his family, and then lead. The safety of your loved ones comes first. Should always be aware of your surroundings. Make sure that you know where the exits are, and make sure that you can identify threats and capable men in social settings. That's super important because in the event that you are not able to get your family out in a scenario, finding other capable men that will run towards danger and defend is going to increase your likelihood of survival. I'm not going to go any further into that. That was part of the original one, so I can just skip over. We've already talked about that. Anything on that one? Okay. Open doors and pull out chairs. Make sure that your partner knows that they are safe. Small things that can do this is simply walking over to their side of the car when it's dark out before they get out and open the door so that they're not stepping out of a car into a dark parking lot. She's going to be getting out of the car anyways. You're getting out of the car anyways. If it's dark, you're not in a well-lit area, you could be like, hey, I'm going to come open your door. Get out, go open the door. We've had to do that in dark scenarios. It happens sometimes. Gas stations, rest stops are dangerous for women, so you want to park in well-lit areas, and if not, that's the answer to that. Women should always go upstairs first and down second. In the event of a trip, you can catch them. They walk on the inner part of sidewalks away from traffic. Elevators are also dangerous, so you should step in first and out first so that in the event that there's a threat in the elevator, waiting for the woman, you are going to be the one through the door, and as you step out, you've already assessed the elevator threat being in the elevator, and as you step out, you know if the hallway is safe or whatever. This also corresponds to going in and out of buildings, especially at nighttime, into a dark street or parking lot. Ladies first is a good rule unless you're walking out of a building into a dark street. So that was my example. Your woman should order her food first when you sit down, unless you've been granted the ability to order for her. This is not something that I am ever comfortable doing, because your taste buds and my taste buds are vastly different, and things that I enjoy you may not. So like, I don't order her food.
You can't remember what I eat?
I mean, if we went to the same place every single time, absolutely. Okay. But you are also one of those people that will not order the same thing every time. You like varieties of food, and like I've watched you go, I've never had this, I'm going to order it. And I'm like, you're ballsy. So I don't do that for you. But in the event that the food is ordered and somebody comes over and goes, how's your meal? I wait for you to answer. I don't, because when we're out to eat, it's for you, not for me. I'm happy with a hot dog. Like, I don't need a big fancy meal. It's a date. Like, it's about you, not me. Speaking of food, you should not eat your food until she has her food and she's started to eat. Let her eat first. When the waiter comes, ask how food is. Yeah, let her answer. I covered that one. Maintain her vehicle. Again, guys, these are all things that were in the original one. It's going to start changing, just recapping. Maintain her vehicle. This one gives a lot of shit on TikTok, and I don't care what anybody says. If If you are making sure that her vehicle is well maintained, there's gas, and she has everything that she needs, there is an air of safety in all of that. You know that your husband's got you. If your tire goes flat, you can call me. I'm going to come get you, change your tire, whatever. This is one of those things where people are always like, well, I can do that myself. Good. You should be able to do that yourself. And if you can't, your woman needs to be taught how to do those things. So in the event that you're not around or able to do those things, you can, but you doing that is just taking one step further to make sure that they are provided for, right? Protect, provide, and lead. So all of these things cover that. Anything you'd like to touch on?
No.
All right. Hold her hand. This one is one that I probably don't do enough, but I put on here. This is a new one. And I wrote, remember when you were courting, when you couldn't keep your hands off of each other, this will make for a good throwback. It will also serve as a way to keep her close enough to you, sets a predetermined perception by others, and in the event that something goes bad, you are right there. Pro tip, use your non-dominant hand. And though I'm an advocate for carrying things for her, keep that hand free. You never know when you may need it. So if you're holding your wife's hand and you are leading around doing what you guys are doing and you're keeping her safe, keep your non-dominant hand, your draw hand, your aggressive hand, the one that you're going to use to fight, empty or free or readily available to be free. You would think that it's common sense.
Why the non-dominant hand? You would think you would want to use your dominant hand for that.
To hold your hand?
No, you said keep your non-dominant hand free.
Right. I'm sorry. Keep your non-dominant hand should be the one holding on.
Okay.
Did I say non-dominant hand?
Yeah, you want to keep your dominant hand free.
Yes. Yeah, your non-dominant hand should be the one that's holding on to your person. The hand that you do everything with should be free.
Okay.
Ryan Michler, mentioning him again, has something that he calls the 13 virtues, and I've expounded on these for this episode, but the first 13 by him are self-reliance, intentionality, discernment, wisdom, ownership, strength, humility, integrity, conviction, self-awareness, discipline, mastery, and courage. Those 13 things, in my opinion, is what makes a man a man. He goes into depth of those in his book called Sovereignty, and I highly suggest you guys read the book. I hold some of those things higher than others, but I do believe that all 13 of those things are very important, and that's all covered in the first episode of this. New part. Why are you looking at me like that?
I'm ready for the new part.
Okay, Benjamin Franklin also had a list of 13 virtues, and they were temperance. Avoid overindulgence. That's what temperance means. Have temperance. Don't overindulge. Don't overeat. Don't overspend. Don't overdrink. Don't overconsume. Be mindful, right? Moderation. Silence. A man must learn when and when not to open his mouth, because not everything merits a response. Sometimes the best course of action is to shut the fuck up. We have 2 ears, 2 eyes, and 1 mouth. I'm going to get more into that later. Order. All of your things, let all of your things have their places. Let each part of your business have its time. If you're like me, your life is a chaotic fucking mess and everything is out of order, but you know where everything is. I know where all of my shit is at any given moment. I very rarely lose things because even though my life is chaotic, things go back to where they were. Like my car keys go in the same spot every day because I know I'll lose them otherwise. So, resolution is the next one. Resolution is the firm determination to accomplish what you set out to do. Resolve, right? That's a big fucking deal. If you are going to set out to do something, give it your everything. Make sure that you are determined and that you are capable of accomplishing those things. The next one is frugality. Spend less than you earn. This is going to come into a conversation later about being a good steward of your finances. But if you make $5,000 a month and you have $5,500 going out a month and you're using credit cards and you're supplementing and borrowing, you are working at a deficit. You will never crawl out of that because you don't know how to manage your money. Anything on any of these so far?
No.
Industry. This one I wasn't quite sure about because industry sounds like a business or like a company that makes nuts and bolts. Like I think industrial. But it says, lose no time. Be always employed in something useful and cut off all unnecessary actions. I take that always employed in something useful does not necessarily mean your job. It just means to be actively doing something useful all the time. Sincerity is the next one. Gossip, sarcasm, and lying can harm you and others, and so you want to avoid those vices. Sincerity goes a long way. It shows that you have genuine character. I think that ties into the integrity in the beginning of this, because if you are a sincere person, you are just and trying to be overall a good person, in my opinion. Next one is actually justice. Always look out for those who need it. That's really self-explanatory. Moderation. Society will tell you that more is the answer, that more money, more stuff, more women, more pleasure are the keys to gaining satisfaction in life. In reality, the secret to fulfilling life is moderation. If you overindulge in everything, that greed and that gluttony will never be enough to satiate you. But if you set limits on the things that you want, the things that you're willing to have, and you abide by those, if I had 10 watches, I would be happy. You get your 10 watches and never buy another watch again. Just a simple example, but you don't want to overindulge. Moderation is a big deal. Next one is cleanliness. Cleanliness develops a man's attention to detail, discipline, and order. Not to mention it correlates to mental health. I'll get into that later as well. The next one is tranquility. Controlling one's anger is the mark of a cool and composed gentleman. There are many social and health benefits to controlling your anger. I mean, that really fucking just goes to speak for itself as well. The next one is chastity. The overabundance of sex has only cheapened it. Sex sells and it's become nothing more than a transactional item. This is, nobody practices that anymore. I get it. Sex is fun. It's enjoyable. But when that's all you live for, it loses its meaning. It loses its intimacy. It's nothing more than
An act.
Right. It's just I'm going to go drink tonight. I'm going to go fuck tonight. I'm going to go smoke tonight. There's nothing sacred to that anymore. And the last one on his list is humility. Humility isn't weak, submissive, or self-abasing. Humility means having the quiet confidence to allow your actions to speak for themselves. That's a big fucking deal. Like, you can be boastful. The loudest one in the room is always full of shit. You hear men talking about how you have to watch out for the quietest one in the room, the one who's not screaming and not raising his voice, the one that carries himself like he's a fucking threat. If you're screaming about how you're the best, you're the greatest, you're not. Everyone in the fucking rooms that knows that you're not. You're just an obnoxious, annoying fuck, and nobody likes that, so don't do that. If you adhere to those values and you truly hold on to those virtues, all 26 of them, because I've added 13 more, or even make some of them a core values for yourself, you will become a good man. If you don't have core values and you don't have non-negotiables, I recommend that you get a list, 5 to 6 core values and 8 to 10 non-negotiables, things that like are hard limits, not going to happen no matter what. This is, set in stone for me. All right, moving on. A man should be physically fit and capable. I covered this in the last one, so I'm not going to go too hard into it, but in the event that you need to protect, if you are not able to do so because of your physical stature, that's a problem. You should be able to meet certain physical requirements in the event that there's a fire in your house and you have to carry your women and your kids out. If you can grab them both at the same time and run out of the house, it's going to be a whole lot safer than if you have to take one out and come back in. And then you have a decision to make of who you're going to protect. And that comes into a whole different thing, but you should be physically capable of a lot. You should be able to run, carry, lift, jump, climb, all of that shit. That was in the first one. You can go back and watch the first Gentleman episode if you'd like to. I'm not going to dive too far into that. The next one is keep your word at all costs. If you break your word, you cannot be trusted. And without trust, you have nothing. That is the overall foundation of who you are as a person. And when you get married, your vow is your word. If your word can't be trusted, your vows mean nothing. So if you tell someone you're going to do something, come hell or high water, you get it done. You undercommit and overperform. An example of that would be if your boss comes to you and goes, hey, we have a deadline on Friday. Today's Monday. We have to make sure that this is done no matter what by Friday. And you look at what it is and you're in your head, you're like, I got this by Wednesday. Shut the fuck up. You tell your boss, yeah, I got you. I will make sure this is done by Friday. You've now given yourself 2 extra days to check your work and make sure that everything is right. And then Wednesday, when you go set it on his desk at the end of the day, a day and a half early or 2 days early, you've double checked your work. You make sure that everything is there and you've overperformed. You told him you would have it by Friday. You've proved that you're a capable motherfucker. Here it is on Wednesday. It's done. In the event that, like, for example, if you wanted to tell somebody that, hey, I'm going to help you move, because your best friend is moving. Bring somebody with you. Bring another friend. Show up with an extra set of hands. Overperform, right? Be there for your people. Next one is if someone tells you a secret, you take it to the grave. Even if they become your enemy, divulging that secret, even in a time of conflict, will show everyone that you are a man without honor. I cannot begin to tell you how many times I have seen people be put on blast that used to be lovers or best friends or longtime companions that have a falling out, and then everything becomes public knowledge. People like that can't be trusted. It ends up on social media. People start bashing. Friend groups get divided. It becomes a whole fucking mess. So even if they're your friends and you see them doing those things, subconsciously, you know you can't trust them. If we had somebody in our social group that got divorced and went and badmouthed their person and aired all of their dirty laundry, under no circumstances would we ever be alone with those people. We would never tell them our secrets. We would never let them in on anything that's not surface level, because we know that they can't be trusted. Period. Keep your fucking secrets. I also then wrote, and this is a new part of this because the keep your secrets was prevalent in the last one. Can you cast the first stone? Is your story one of purity? Have you ever done anything wrong? If you have, shut the fuck up. You have to live your story. You get to write it moment by moment while others are writing theirs, and you may observe, but unless you have words of encouragement or guidance, shut your mouth. You have nothing of value to add, shut your mouth. We get so caught up in throwing shade at people and being judgmental to the things that are going on that we forget that we too have been what most of those people are going through. We may have gotten better. We may have come out of it unscathed. We could be trying to live with it still. So show a little bit of grace. Realize that you can't cast the first stone. Shut the fuck up. Next one is anything worth having. I wrote, anything that is worth having will not come easily. A man knows that in order to be successful at anything in life, he will have to work for it. You're going to have to make sacrifices, and at times you're going to have to suffer. This applies to business, relationships, friendships, and anything else. Anything that comes easy will have some sort of cash or strings attached, and be wary of this. If you're not willing to suffer for the things that you want, you truly do not want them. I want to have a six-pack. No, you don't. You don't. Mm-hmm. I want to have a successful relationship, but I won't go to counseling. No, you don't. You don't want it. If you're not willing to put yourself in an uncomfortable position and suffer to get to the outcome, you don't fucking want it. You like the idea of it. If you could wake up and have the perfect body, you would lose it in 6 weeks because you're not willing to make the changes now to get to that six-pack or go to counseling to save your fucking marriage. If you really truly wanted those things, you would suffer for them. Next one goes on to the ego. This is a big one for me. And we talked about this a little bit in the beginning of the last episode or the last gentleman's video. Ego kills talent. Ego kills productivity. It kills relationships. Ego is one of the biggest, in my opinion, killers of everything. You can be a phenomenal artist. You can be a good husband. You can be a musician. Your ego is going to make you stop being all of those things. You're not going to put the work in anymore because you're going to feel like you got it. And when your kids come into a different season in their lives and you think you're the greatest fucking dad on the planet and you haven't been present with your kids because you believe you're the greatest dad on the fucking planet, your ego is going to destroy your children. This falls into the humility thing that Ben Franklin was talking about. You must destroy your fucking ego. Moving on to the next one. This is a big one that we've talked about on the podcast a lot, and that is handshakes matter. I am a huge advocate for handshakes, and I have actually gone as far as to not hire people because they did not know how to properly shake my hand. Too firm shows that you're trying to overpower someone. Too limp shows that you don't have any self-respect or that you don't respect them. You never shake someone's hand sitting down, and you always look them in the eye when you shake their hand. Pro tip, if you shake their hand and they give you their name, say their name. Hey, Bob, it's nice to meet you. Try to say their name 3 or 4 times within the first 5 minutes of an interaction, and you will not forget their name because you have been addressing them by their fucking name. Don't let somebody put their hand on top of your hand when they shake hands. If you stick your hand out and they shake your hand and they put their hand on top of it, they are establishing dominance subconsciously over you. If you think I'm wrong, watch politicians. Every politician who shakes hands, hand right on top. And people don't ever put their hand on top of it because it's weird.
I would do that.
I would too. You put your hand on top of my hand, I'm going to fucking put my hand right on top of yours. Right. And then we can play the hot potato game.
I would give him a forehead kiss at that point.
Lick him. So yeah, that's a power move. You can see it with politicians. All right, moving on. A man should know how to cook. Not just grill, cook. and cook well. Not enough to get by, but like I could satisfy my woman if I made her dinner, right? I don't need to go to YouTube. I can read the ingredients list and figure out what I'm going to do and do the cook thing. I don't conform to the idea that only women should be the ones to cook in a house. Yes, we have a traditional marriage. Yes, you are the one that cooks. Yes, you love it. Yes, I love it. But I can cook. I don't have to. That's her thing. That's all there is to that. If you are a gentleman, right? You are a good man and you are able to cook a really good meal and you are not looking for a traditional relationship, there is a very good standard that can be set there by making a woman a meal, especially if she's got kids, because she's the one that's having to do that shit all the time. Mm-hmm. I think that life skills are no different between genders. You should know how to cook and clean and do all of those things as a gentleman, and a woman should know how to maintain her car. I don't think a woman should have to maintain her car, just like I don't think a man should have to cook. If you're married, your woman should be doing those things. And you should be doing all of the things that she needs you to do to satisfy the relationship. We say on this podcast all the time, my job is to get the food in the house and your job is to get it to the table. And it fucking works, right? So that's part of the provision. We both provide. I provide by getting it here. You provide by getting it to the table. And then we're all nourished. You'll water me, as you put it. All right. The next one. This is a new one. A man should not be afraid to be a servant. Serve those that you love. Be gracious, but do not fear the opposite. We get so caught up in the negative undertones of submission that people don't want to be the one to serve another person. However, I do not see service as being meek, because you can be a savage and still be a servant. Man was built to serve. People put such a negative thought to that, to subserve or submit. You should be humble for those that you love, and you should be willing to do everything that you can to provide for them. And sometimes that means being a silent servant. If there's any type of anything that I can do that's going to make your life easier, I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to complain about it. I'm not going to be like, hey, I can't believe you didn't do X, Y, Z. I have 5 seconds. I'm just going to do this shit real quick, and it's never going to get brought up. There's no reason for me to create unnecessary drama or conflict when I can serve my household by quickly doing something. I'm not going to go too hard on that one, but the next one is pick up the tab. This was in the previous video. If you invite, it is your duty to pay, period. It does not matter if it's a date with your friends, a physical date with a woman, or whatever the case may be. If it is your idea, it is your dime. Would you like to discuss this at all? I feel like we've beat that to death, but there are people that are listening to this now that are going to hear that and be like, I'm not fucking paying for people. As a woman, how does that make you feel?
When you pay for me or pay for people?
Both. Because it happens both ways. When we go on dates, I pay. When we invite people out, I pay.
It's a flex.
So I wrote on here, I catch so much flack for this because people go, I'm not paying for somebody else's meal. Per the gentleman rule states, if you invite, you pay. If you offer to pay and it's declined, you offer a maximum of 3 times. On the 3rd time, it is rude to press any further. So if somebody's like, no, I got it, you know I have it and it's not a big deal. You know, you're like, are you sure? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, okay, don't ask anymore because they've now established 3 times. It's done. Moving on. The next one is a man is not late. If you are on time, you are late. If you cannot account for traffic, that is a problem. Being late shows an overall lack of self-discipline. And as far as I'm concerned, if you are not 15 minutes early to wherever you're supposed to be, you are not on time. Traffic is going to happen. Flat tires, gas station runs. You never know what's going to hold you up. So if you always give yourself ample time to get where you're going, you will not be late. In the event that something happens and you're actually fucking late, people are calling you 5 minutes before, 10 minutes before, and be like, yo, where you at? Because they're used to you being punctual. Mm-hmm. And you can be like, I had a flat. I ran out of gas. I had spilled coffee on myself. I had to run home. They know that you're telling the truth because you're fucking punctual. Your word, your actions show that what's going on is actually there. And people are never mad when they're late. The people who are waiting for them are. So you always be on time. Be early. You be the one that's waiting for other people. 15 minutes is not going to kill you. Take pride in your appearance and your hygiene. This is a new one. No, it's not. This was on the last one as well. Hygiene is super important. Nobody wants to be around somebody who stinks, has bad breath or teeth. If you have an opportunity to take an extra 15 minutes to clean yourself up, do so. I know that there are people out there who are blue-collar workers who have fucking 3 outfits, and one of them is their good outfit, and the other 2 are work uniforms, or 5 work uniforms and 1 nice outfit that eventually becomes dirty. Take the time, clean yourself up, especially if you're going on your date. Your woman is used to seeing you come through the door disgusting at the end of the day and then getting into comfortable clothes. If you're going on a date, get dressed. Make yourself presentable, so that when you guys are sitting out at a table, she can look at something that's not the dirty man that she sees every day. It's no different than a woman doing her makeup for the first time in 6 months. When you see it, you're like, whoa, you did your makeup. She's like, whoa, you cleaned your fingernails. Like, that shit matters.
Yeah.
The next one is give up your seat in your coat. I'm a firm believer that if there are no seats and I'm sitting down and a woman walks in the room and I don't know her, I'm getting up. It doesn't hurt me to stand. I will give my coat. However, I'm not taking my coat back. Scabies are a thing. I covered this in the last one. If I give you an article of clothing, I don't want it back. It's yours now. You own it. All right. Actively listen. When she talks, actively listen. Actively comprehend. Selective hearing is a thing, and if I've got my phone in my hand and my beautiful wife says something to me, unless she specifically says, I need your undivided attention, there's a strong possibility she's not getting my undivided attention, because my phone is in my hand, there's a screen on the TV, kids are talking, there's 5 other things being done behind the scenes, I'm waiting on emails. Actively listen. If you are engaged with somebody, put your phone in your pocket, put it on Do Not Disturb. If you have a smartwatch, putting your phone on Do Not Disturb should make your watch not go off. Be present in the moment. Nobody wants to feel like they're being ignored or given like half of their attention to, especially in an intimate setting. So if you're that person that's always got their phone in their hand and is always giving attention to other things, that's not the art of the gentleman. Be goal-oriented. Always have something to work for and strive for. If you are one of those people that are just scraping by and getting by paycheck to paycheck, what are you doing tonight? I don't know. What are you doing tonight? And you don't actually have a set plan for what you want to get out of your life, you are not going to ever truly live. You are just being pushed around with the current. That is not the way a gentleman lives, and it's definitely not the way a successful man operates. If you want to have nice things, like I said earlier, you're going to have to suffer to get them. Be goal-oriented. If you know that you want to buy a house in 5 years or you want to be a doctor in 10 years, you're going to have to set up a whole lot of things to make sure that that success happens, because simply saying one day I want to be a good dad or a good husband is not going to get you there. You're going to have to fucking do the work to be able to wear that badge. Next one is think before you speak. This is a new one. I read that the first thing that comes out of your mouth in response to a situation is usually stupid as fuck, because you are acting from an emotional base and a story that you have told yourself. So if you walk into a room and people are laughing and you're kind of feeling down, you're going to feel like they're laughing about you. And whatever comes out of your mouth is probably going to be fucking wrong. So think about what you're going to say, address the situation, instead of going, what are you guys laughing at? Oh, nothing. Because conversation's now over. But if you walk in the room and they're laughing and you start smiling, you're like, oh, what are you guys talking about? They're going to reiterate the conversation, because now you're not being accusatory. You've thought about what you wanted to say and you've injected yourself in a conversation in a way that you are pleasant to be around. Think before you speak. Next one is take accountability. I don't know if this was on the last one or not, but this is the premise of our entire podcast. Extreme accountability. Own the things that you are responsible for, right? This is not saying that to take accountability that you can't have horrible life experiences go on in your existence. It means that you take accountability for the things that you can take accountability for. If you get cheated on, what could I have done to prevent that? Could I have done anything to prevent that? I'm not saying that you could or that you couldn't, but you need to reflect to find out if you could. If you got robbed, what could I have done to prevent myself from getting robbed? Should I have not walked down that alley in the middle of Atlanta at 3 a.m. in a neighborhood that I don't belong in? Yeah, that would have prevented you from getting robbed. So take accountability. Do not throw shade at others for their wrongs. You are responsible for you, and they are responsible for them. If somebody does you dirty and you had any type of foulness going on and you're throwing shade because they did X, Y, Z and you're just an innocent victim, you're lying to yourself. You had a hand in some way, shape, or form. Take accountability for what you did. Don't worry about what they did. You can't change what they did. You're not responsible for them. You can only change you. You can fix the shit that you did wrong. You can fix the shit that you didn't understand. The things that you needed to learn from, you can learn. You can't worry about those other people. So accountability. Being able to admit that you are wrong makes you a strong man. It signifies to others, especially women, that you have an emotional maturity about you. Because if you Your woman comes at you sideways and you don't get angry. You think about what you're going to say. You take accountability for what you did wrong, not how they could have handled the situation, just for you. And you're like, look, I'm sorry that I did that. I realize how that affected you. What can I do to work on me to make sure that these things don't happen again? And they can lay it all out. And then 15, 20 minutes go by. If you would like to continue the conversation and talk about how they can change their actions and they can take accountability, you can do that. But in the moment, it's not about throwing shade. It's about realizing what you could change, being man enough to change it. There's an emotional maturity that comes into that. So don't blame others. Your life is yours. Placing blame on others only removes your ability to control your own life and outcomes. Temperance, do not overindulge. This was something that we talked about a little bit earlier with the Ben Franklin's 13 virtues. In a public setting, you would think that it is common sense. Things that could be alcohol or overeating or anything like that, you don't want to overindulge in. If you get sloppy, if you get intoxicated, if you can't move properly, this can impede your ability to protect those in danger. And the likelihood of danger could be 0.002%, but that 0.002% could happen because it's not zero. So don't overindulge. Don't get drunk in public. A gentleman doesn't get sloppy. On that same thing, I am a big proponent in that anything worth doing is worth overdoing. So if you're going to build something, don't just get it done. Build it to the best of your fucking ability. If you're not capable of doing it to what you have it envisioned in your head, find somebody that can and help them, or have them help you so that you can learn how to do it and do it. If it's going to give you a 1% to 2% advantage, it's worth doing. If it's just one of those things where I don't know, maybe it'll do something. It doesn't sound like something you should invest in. It sounds like uncertainty, and it's not really worth it. So if you're going to do something and it's going to bring you value, dive in head first. The next one is your reputation matters, so protect it. I talked about this on the last one. I changed some wording on this, so just hear me out. This does not mean that if somebody says something bad about you, that you get on the internet and rip them apart, or that you go and confront them and fight them. Your reputation matters. Protect it means that if you see somebody out on the street and they're homeless and you know that you have more than they do and you can spare some money, give them some money. Do things like being charitable, opening car doors. Be the person that you believe you can be. And in doing so, you are going to solidify your reputation as a gentleman. So if you do something and in your head you're like, oh, that wasn't very gentleman of me, don't fucking do that anymore, because you're destroying your reputation. When it comes to business, your business matters. Your business reputation matters. You should be trying to build your business's reputation the same way that you're trying to build your reputation as a gentleman, because those things go hand in hand. A lot of businesses have core values and non-negotiables that transfers over into your personal life the same way that the reputation transfers into business. I wrote on here, if you can do good acts, good services, be a good servant to your community, that will also build your reputation. Moving on, a gentleman never puts his hands on a woman. That does not mean that you should allow her to abuse you. However, if you can eliminate a threat without physical harm as you leave a situation, do so. In the event that you are a violent woman and decide to put your hands on a man, know that we are a lot more capable than you. You're probably going to get hurt. You're going to deserve everything that's coming to you. Keep your fucking hands to yourself, both sides. There's no reason for you to ever get physical with one another. If you are a man and your woman puts her hands on you, a woman puts her hands on you and you are able to throw her to the ground and leave. There's no sense in staying in the apartment or the home or the parking lot and being attacked and being verbally assaulted and abused and all the shit that transpires from that. Push her out of the fucking way and leave. If she tries to follow you as you get into your car, push her out of the way and close your fucking car door. If you try to leave and she tries to fucking get behind the car so you can't leave, you're safe in your vehicle. If she starts breaking things, there are other options. You do not have to beat her ass just because she's not doing the things that you want her to do. Moving on to the next part of this is a new one. Know when you should watch your mouth and when you shouldn't. Not everything is worthy of a response, and this falls back onto your reputation. This falls into defense. This falls into situational awareness. You do not have to respond to every slight or insult, every scenario, or just because somebody is in your face doing something. You have a choice to react or choose to respond. If you're reacting, you're going to do so from an emotional standpoint and not a logical standpoint. In my opinion, the only time an emotional reaction is acceptable is if you are highly trained and your muscle memory kicks in and you are reacting to save or save life or to save your own life. The outcome of everything is going to be dependent on how you choose to respond. If you respond in a poor manner, things are going to get worse. If you think about things, you think before you speak, you work your magic, you might be able to actually have a conversation, talk your way out of things. You could preserve your reputation. Knowing when to speak and thinking before you speak is a big fucking deal. I also write on here, if you took a second to think about what you're doing and respond accordingly, so know when to shut your mouth and when you don't have to. Perception is a reality. Life doesn't dictate your attitude, but your attitude dictates how you will experience your life. If you change your attitude, it will be the shortest and most permanent route to changing your life. I cannot stress that enough. The way you view a situation will 100% dictate the outcome of the situation. If everything is a problem, we have a problem, such and such did this, I can't believe that, oh my fucking God, everything is drama and negative. If your friend calls you and goes, hey, I have an opportunity to make a whole lot of money, but I might have to quit my job. He's presenting you with a problem of quitting his job, but an opportunity to make a whole lot of money. If you can turn every problematic situation into an opportunity by finding a silver lining, your life will change. Your outcome will change. The attitude, the way you perceive situations will change. You will approach them from a calm, problem-solving situation versus a frantic, emotional, anxious one. That's a big fucking deal. Everything in life is an opportunity, not a problem. So again, life does not dictate your attitude, but your attitude does dictate how your life goes and how you experience life. Time management matters. This is a new one. Procrastination leads to failure. You are using the same 24 hours in a day that everyone else has, but you are utilizing that time more efficiently. This comes down to knowing that you have a deadline on Friday with your boss and you can get it done by Wednesday. You're going to overperform. You didn't procrastinate. You went home and worked on that project Monday night. And then you worked on it a little bit more Tuesday morning and you finished it up on Wednesday afternoon. You hand it in. Now you have Thursday and Friday to kind of fuck off. If you have a transmission that you have to rebuild and you know, it's sitting in the garage for 6 months and you just work on it when you feel like, that's never going to get done. Eventually you're going to have shit laying on top of your car that you know have to move. You have to clean around it. Like, you're not going to get these things done. Procrastination leads to failure. If you know something needs to get done, do it now and then fuck off afterwards, because fucking off before means that you're not going to get it done. Negotiation. This is also in the first one. Never make the first offer. This is one of those things that come down more of a business standpoint, but it also plays into relationships. Because you are constantly in negotiations with your partner, do not make the first offer. Also on the topic of negotiating, we have said in the past that you should be working for compromise in a relationship. Peaches and I have said that at length at the beginning of this podcast. I no longer believe in compromise. I believe that you should come to an agreement, because a compromise means that there has been a concession. When you concede, you're defeated. I concede. You're admitting that you lost. If you are in a negotiation or you're trying to work things out, it's not about winning or losing. It's about coming to agreeable terms that works for everyone. And you can call it a compromise if you want, but verbiage matters. I don't believe in compromises. I want an agreement that is beneficial to all parties so that everyone is happy with the outcome and that nobody feels like they lost. This is not a concession. I wrote at the end of that, perception is reality. So I'm just going to reiterate that point. Moving on. Being willing to change. This is also a new one. Often, our goals in lives are going to change, and who you are as a person is going to change. The things that are important to you are going to change. You need to always remember that nothing is ever definite. You should not speak in definites. Things happen, plans change, life goes on. The world is chaos. The universe is chaos. We have to work with the best that we have and try to control as much as we can to get the outcome that we want. But you have to be willing to change your plans in order to get those outcomes, because sometimes things aren't just going to go. We don't get a second chance at life. So you have to roll with the punches and build and reroute and navigate, because if you hit a dead end, you go, well, I'm at a dead end. This is it. World's over. I'm done. I can never go anywhere but forward because I'm at this dead end. You've lost. So be willing to change. Be very specific with your goals. This was on the last one. This is a simple concept that a lot of people struggle with. New Year's resolutions, for example, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to lose. That's what everybody says. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to lose weight next year. You're bullshit. Because if you really wanted to lose weight, you'd start right now. Like, you're putting it off because you don't really want to do it. So there's step one that you're going to fail. But be specific with your goals. Don't say I want to lose weight. Say how much weight I want to lose. I want to lose 15 pounds. How are you going to lose 15 pounds? I'm going to start counting my carbs. Start counting my macronutrients. I'm going to start going for walks 20 minutes every morning. The more detailed plan you have, the less likely you are to fail, because if you have 50 fucking bullet points of how to succeed and you only get 48 of them done, that's 48 bullet points that you weren't doing before you made your 50-point plan. So be specific. If you want to have a big house one day, how many bedrooms? What does it look like? What's the fence look like? Do you have trees in your yard? Do you have hills? Do you have an underground fucking sprinkler system? Like, be as specific as you can, and this falls back into vision. I bought a Mercedes in 2023. It was my dream car. I got my fucking dream car. I had everything that I wanted in my car visioned. I knew what I wanted, and I went to the dealership and they had my car. Everything was exactly the way that I wanted it. I didn't have to order it. It was there. But if they didn't have that car, I would have not bought the vehicle. I would have been like, I want you to order this because I want this, 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 and this. But because I was specific with my goals, I think the universe was like, here you go. Good job. Attaboy. We covered that one a little bit in the last one, so I'm not going to beat on that anymore. Go all in. Fucking hate that term. Unless we're playing poker, I'm all in, bro. No, you're not. I hate that shit so much. Every business that I have ever started, anything that I've ever had my hand in, has been 100% all in, sink or swim. Like, I'm not pussyfooting anything. We're not dipping our toes. We're not hemming and hawing. When I built the podcast and we decided, Peach was like, hey, we're going to do this. And she gave me the thumbs up. I spent all of my fucking credit card money, maxed shit out, and bought everything that I needed to get this podcast up and running. And if this didn't work and it didn't make revenue, I would have had a whole lot of debt. I don't half-ass anything. If you're going to do it, give it everything. If you're going to do it, overindulge. Like, anything worth doing is worth overdoing. So I wrote on here, I'm going to make or break it. I'm going to make it or break. I'm going to fucking die, or this is going to be successful. And I know that sounds extreme to people, but everyone that I've talked to that's had that mentality in business is successful. I'm not even going to hit on that anymore because that was on the last podcast, but that needs to be the way that you approach situations. The next one is success. Success looks different for everyone, right? What I view as a successful man may not be your definition of a successful man. And it doesn't mean that either one of us are right. It just means that our perception is our reality, and that's the way that we view things. So my success as a gentleman may look different than yours. It's important to remember that, because this falls under the not talking shit about other people and not throwing shade. If success to you looks like living debt-free at the age of 30 and not owning a home, but owning a school bus and living in it, or renting out Airbnbs and traveling forever and never having more than a couple $100 in your bank account. If that's what success looks like for you and you are happy and you are thriving, that is your success. I got into a little bit on this entrepreneur thing, and I am going to touch on this, but it's not really relevant to the success thing. I wrote on here that not everybody wants to be business owners, and I will say that out of everyone that attempts to become an entrepreneur, only 2% make it. 10% try, 2% make it. It's easier to become an intrapreneur, and if you don't know what that is, it basically means that you are already established in a company, and you are going to become a franchise owner, or you're going to become a partner. That's intrapreneurship. Or you're going to branch out and have your own thing within that company. So like we have To Be Better podcast. If AJ was like, I want to handle your coffee thing as To Be Better Brew, and he starts taking over the coffee things and building that brand, and wants to open a coffee shop one day under To Be Better Brew, that even though that's my business, the coffee shop would be his, I would get revenue from it. It's intrapreneurship. So success looks different for different people. Some people want to own and stand on their own too and be their own individual, and others are very happy coming up from the inside, and it's easier to do it that way. Be kind. Chivalry was based on looking out for people. Sometimes that is as simple as remembering that you have no idea what someone else is going through, so be kind to them. I give bums money. I've been homeless. I don't care if they're buying drugs with it. I don't care if they're drinking. I don't care if they're giving it to hookers. I do not give a fuck what they do with that money. I have it. I'm very comfortable. And if I give them $50 or $100, $10, a dollar, I have it to give away. And if I'm giving it away, once I've given that gift, it doesn't matter what they've done with it. If it's made their day better, it's a win, right? Don't fucking tape it. Don't stick it on the internet to show everybody how fucking great you are as a person. Move in silence. Do for others. You never know when you're going to be in a position where somebody might be gracious and bless you with something when you really fucking need it. That shit goes. It ebbs and flows. This is moving on to some new shit. Do not chase women. Do not chase a woman. Do not pursue them. Make your intentions known. Be clear. Ask them out once. And if it is not accepted, move on. Time is one of 4 things that you can never get back, so do not waste it on those who want to play games. The other 3 things are trust and an opportunity and a word when it's left your mouth. So just the other 3 things you can't get back. If you are a man who is driven, you are a gentleman, you are a good man, and you are making moves in business, and you are family-oriented, and you're doing all the things that in your eyes makes you a good man, and you are fawning after a woman and she's not willing to give you the time of day, there's nothing that you can do other than buy her affections that's going to change that. If she doesn't see your value, do not try to convince her and change her mind. Find somebody that recognizes the value that you bring to the world and move the fuck on. Do not waste your time. First impressions matter. It can determine the outcome of a lot of things in your life. Make sure that your first impressions are a good one. You can't make a second first impression. This falls under hygiene. It falls under shaking hands. Everything that I've led into this, your first impression matters. If we meet, we were at Maple Street Biscuit Company in Knoxville, the Knoxville area over the weekend. And somebody came in. Oh my God, I love your podcast. Like the moment they walked in the door, they were from Ohio. Also from, no, Wisconsin. They were from Wisconsin. Yes, they were from Wisconsin. And we both stood up and shook their hands, and like they have a parasocial, I learned a word from you, baby.
Yeah, you did.
Parasocial relationship with us. They know us because our lives are on the internet, but we don't know them. If they walked in and they're like, oh my God, we love your podcast. And you're like, yeah, cool. And we just ate our food and ignored them. That would not have been becoming of us. So we got up, shook their hands, take pictures. Thank you for supporting the podcast. Those people are going to leave and go, hey, those are really good people. And it took 2 seconds for us to stop what we were doing, put our phones down, make them the center of attention, be cautious with the way that we speak, shake their hands, make eye contact. Those people, that first impression of those people, of us in person, if we ever see them again, they're going to remember us as those people, even if it's 50 years from now, and we have protected our reputation. All of it ties into that. First impressions matter. The next one is be a student of life. You can learn something from everyone. It might not be how to do something the right way. It could be, hey, don't do that. But you can learn something from everyone. Earlier, I said that we are meant to observe and report. 2 ears, 2 eyes, and 1 mouth. You should be using your eyes and ears more than your mouth. You should be speaking only when the things that you have to say add value to the conversation or are truly going to matter to other people. Arguing over the internet about politics and trying to change somebody's mind on the way they live their life is not beneficial to anyone. You can vehemently disagree with somebody and shut the fuck up. You arguing with them and trying to change their mind is not going to do anything other than further divide the two of you. Observe, silently judge if you have to, and move the fuck on. But be a student of life. Observe. If you see something that they're doing that's working for them, if their relationship is really fucking good and you think that we have some sort of secret, watch, observe. Maybe you'll find that secret and be like, yo, that's the golden nugget. I need it. We didn't have to talk to you for that. You didn't say shit to us. You might be talking shit to us in your car right now, like, hey, you're a dumbass, but you're still listening. Mm-hmm. Moving on, be an effective communicator. Learn how to read body language, how to properly convey your thoughts to others. This will ensure that the point that you are trying to get across can be done so in a way that you intend and not open for interpretation by others. I don't know how else to say that to get that point across, but damn it if that ain't it. If you don't know how to talk to your person, we read emails constantly where people are not on the same page because they don't know how to talk to each other. Or they'll say something and it's not what they meant, but they didn't know how to find the right words. Take time, read books on body language, read books like How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. You need to be able to properly convey things to people. There are people like me who do really fucking good with metaphors, but if you talk like actual verbiage, I'm a struggle. I don't talk like that. And you and I can have a conversation where you're super analytical and I'm like, cheese balls. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? So like, there are times where you're like, did that make sense? And I know that you're asking me if I understood what the fuck you were saying. So no, that didn't make sense, babe. Try again. Or, yep, I got you. Yeah, we're moving on. We're conversing. Right? Okay. I also wrote on here, understanding, know the difference between confidence and arrogance. And then I the difference so that I can read it to you guys. Confidence is rooted in a genuine sense of self-worth and is not dependent on external validation. On the other hand, arrogance manifests as an inflated sense of self-importance and superiority. Arrogant individuals often exaggerate their abilities, achievements, or knowledge to assert dominance over others. That's not the way that I've always taken the confidence versus arrogance. I've always believed that confidence comes from doing life things and having the experience to say, I can do that well. Arrogance is going, I've never done that, but I bet I can. Right? Like there's a difference. That fucking definition was very good for me, though. It did a lot. All right. Coming up to the end of my last page, and there's bullet points for Peaches and I to have a discussion. She's not just here to look pretty for you guys. She's here to look pretty for me and to give you guys information. Last one on my list that's actually here, that's not a bullet point, is set your standards high and then achieve them. When you've reached your goal, you set another fucking goal. Goal setting for me is not, I'm going to own $1 million home one day. Goal setting for me is I'm going to learn this trade, to get this job, to learn the in and outs, to open this business, to start paying taxes, to get a loan, to buy the house that's $1 million, and I'm going to do it in 5 years, right? I'm setting detailed goals. It all falls back into everything that I've been talking about tonight. I am setting everything step by step by step. If I have 50 bullet points and I nail 48 of them, I'm still going to get that $1 million house. So set your goals, set them high, and then achieve them, and then set more goals. All right, on to other things. Other things to discuss.
Okay.
Always date. Treat your wife as if she is still your girlfriend, a mistress, and your porn star.
Always.
Anything that you want to elaborate on that?
I think when people get married, they become stagnant. And stagnant water is disgusting.
Yeah.
It always needs to be flowing. I tell you all the time, I'm your girlfriend before I'm your wife. I'm going to flirt with you. I'm going to shake my ass for you. I'm going to nibble on your ear and whisper dirty things.
And all of those things keep the intimacy alive in our relationship. You are a mom.
I am.
You're a business owner. You, by definition, are an entrepreneur independent of me. Right? We have a lot of shit going on. We still date each other.
Yeah.
I still chase you around the house and let me touch your booty. Like, we still have hand-holding moments. You hold my arm when we go into buildings. Like, we have intimacy that is constantly worked at. It's not habitual.
Right. And it's not sexual.
Right. Because not all intimacy is sexual. Next one is work on your manners. Wait staff, blue collar workers, etc. It doesn't matter who you are or what you're doing. Being able to be a gentleman and be polite and have manners goes a long fucking way, and it will show others who you are as a person, what your character is. If your wait staff at a restaurant comes by the table and you treat them like shit, you think you're better than them. There's an arrogance that comes into that, and it makes people feel like shit. So work on your manners. If you have the ability to be nice to people, be nice to them. You will get so much more out of the people around you if you are being smiles and forthcoming. I put blue collar workers on that because of the amount of people that I know that are in the blue collar fields, AC techs, construction workers, the guys that stand outside with the fucking stop and go signs while people are working in ditches, that everybody is rude to. They fucking hate them. They talk down to them. The restaurant workers, even fast food workers. You work at McDonald's, you fucking scrub. Like that kind of shit is not serving anyone.
Right.
All you're doing is showing your own insecurities and your own arrogance, and it's showing the people around you who you really are as a person.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to add to that one?
No.
Respect your elders. A gentleman will respect his elders. If you have somebody that's old, I cuss like a sailor. I don't even realize I'm doing it. And then I play it back and I'm like, dude, I just said the F-bomb like 15 times in 3 sentences. I gotta cut that out, right? So like, I don't know that I'm doing that, but I know that when there's an old woman or an old man near me, I don't do that shit. When I'm at my mom's house, I very rarely drop the F-bomb. And when I do, I immediately stop and apologize because I respect Danielle. I'm not trying to do that in her home. When I get worked up, it happens. It's not an excuse. I'm sure that eventually I can stop doing it, but I do try. Yeah. Respecting your elders will also come into the knowledge thing. You never know what you're going to learn from somebody. And if you are dealing with somebody who has 80 years of life experience and you're 19, they have a thing or two that they can teach you. And though your young brain may not be able to comprehend the wisdom that's being imparted to you, one day it will click. You'll be sitting at the coffee table drinking your coffee and you'll hear something and you'll remember something that the 80-year-old person say and it'll register. And you'll be like, holy shit, that's what they fucking meant. I can't believe I didn't get that. And it'll just be so fucking clear. But if you don't have respect for your elders and they start talking and you talk down to them, shut up, old man, you know what the fuck you're talking about, like, you bum. How is that going to benefit you? How are you going to level at all in any of that?
You're not. I
guess these bullet points maybe not have a whole lot of conversation to them. Anything that you want to add to those? I'm going to ask you a question at the end of this.
Okay.
Anything on those? Okay. Attitude is everything. Falls into earlier. This falls into manners. I'm just reiterating that point. I literally put on attitude is everything, reiterate. So don't kiss and tell. This is a big one for me.
Yeah.
And this really falls into being a gentleman. If you are running around hooking up with everyone that you can and then running around and talking about it to your boys afterwards, you're a piece of shit. I mean that. You may have that one or two people that you're super close to that you talk about your sex life with because you might think that's okay. If you're talking to a married person and you're talking about your sex life and who you banged last night, it's disrespectful to that person and their partner. It's disrespectful to the person that you slept with. The intimate things that go on in the bedroom should be private. If you are courting a woman and she puts out on the first night, don't go tell all your boys, yo, I smashed that last night. She had a fat vagina. Don't do that. That's not, you think that you're going to get like bragging rights or a high five and men are going to be like, yeah, bro, get that shit. Most men are like, why are we talking about this?
People do that when they get bucks and shit.
Don't really need to know what.
People do that when they get bucks.
What's that mean?
Like when they go hunting.
Oh, yeah.
Like, right. Bro, I just took down someone 400 pounds.
Right.
Look at this shit.
Right. Well, that's a brag.
Yeah. Like, women aren't cattle, though.
Right. Right. And there's a very big difference in that. When you were able to feed your family and provide, and you are a good shot, and you process the field animal and you carried it out, like that is fucking brag worthy. Talking about who you put your thing into and like who you spread your legs for, there's nothing to brag about that. Don't talk about your sex life. I think that especially if you're married, like ladies, don't go talking about your man's dick size. Men don't talk about her booty. Like there's just not a need for that. Like I will compliment you and I will brag on you, but I'm not telling anybody about our personal intimate life. Like I'll talk about the sweet intimate, the dancing in the kitchen, the me singing to you, the things that make you melt. But that intimacy, that is the most pure form of togetherness that we can have. God created that for us to truly be one with each other. Why am I trying to share that with other people? Do I need other people to be more one than anyone? Like, right. I don't get that. So don't kiss and tell. And as a young man, I didn't get that. Having, bragging about all the bodies you bagged, like, you're a whore. Congratulations, dude. Like, you're nothing special because you've slept with a bunch of women. Like, I just shut the fuck up. That's really what it comes down to. Okay. You still haven't watched The Crow. We should do that tonight.
No, I haven't.
We should do that tonight. I wrote on here, remember that your kids are watching. I was going to write, be careful where you step because there are other footprints stepping in yours. But remember that your kids are watching. Then I wrote, mother is the name for God on the lips and hearts of all children, because it's a quote from the Crow. Your children view you first and foremost as their everything. When they cry, they are crying to you to fix the problem. When they don't know how to regulate their emotions, they're coming to you to fix the problem. If they're hungry, they're tired, mom and dad's sole purpose in their world is to cater to their survival. Mom and dad get mad. They feel like they're going to starve to death or die. Like, there's a lot that goes into that. Your kids are always watching. Don't argue with your partner in front of your kids if they're not old enough to understand proper conflict resolution. Don't scream and yell. Don't drink and get, sloppy in front of them. You need to maintain an image for your children so that as they come about, they know you as this thing. Your reputation to your children, for example, right? That all ties in. You see memes all the time on Facebook and social media of like the hand in the hand or the footstep and like, hey, son, watch where you walk. And the kid's like, watch where you walk, dad, because I'm walking in your footprints. Like, that shit hits me hard when I see it. And it is a good fucking reminder. So this is your reminder. Your kids are watching. You being there but not present, they fucking feel that. If you're sitting on your couch scrolling while they're trying to have a conversation with you, they feel that. When you feel like your kids are now 15, 16 years old and they have a hard time communicating with other people and they feel withdrawn, it's because you didn't give them the attention that they needed when they were looking for it. You guys, you need to be more involved with your fucking children. Okay. Know thyself, believe in yourself, learn your core values, your non-negotiables, and lastly, be open-minded. Know that you know a small fraction of things, and being willing to have open conversations, free-flowing ideas, and not root yourself in opinions or half-truths is going to be how you change and grow. So your thoughts will change and evolve, weigh everything, and then be a good steward of your finances, right? The last one is be a good steward of your finances. When it comes to money, don't live over your means. Save for a rainy day. Put 10% of everything that you make into a savings account. We're going to be doing a podcast soon with a tattoo artist that is coming from another state that actually does like business shit for tattoo artists. And him and I both agree that if you are in the drug game, the tattoo industry, or you're any type of industry where you're making money every single day, you can get rich very quickly. The problem is if it comes fast, it goes fast. So if you take 10% of everything that you make and you put it in a savings account, or 20% if you're a dual income household, you will find yourself with a very nice cushion within a year. 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. You should have Roth IRAs, 401ks if they're offered to you. You should be doing things to set yourself up for financial success, and you should also have a minimum of 6 months of emergency funds, rent, mortgage, car payments, etc. So if it costs you $10,000 to survive a month, you should have $60,000 in savings minimum. For those of you who work in the industries where the money comes every day, a lot of the times you don't do that because you have a trade that you know you can make money on real quick. And that's a problem for a lot of people, especially they don't realize it until things like COVID hit or a hurricane comes and you don't have any fucking money. So be a good steward, protect your finances. I said that I was going to ask you some questions at the end of this.
Okay.
What are things that I have done that other men have not done for you that have made you change the way that you view men? Did that make sense?
Kind of.
Okay. So think of a better way to word it. Is there things that I have done for you that has established that gentlemen exist?
Yes.
Okay. What are those look and how did they affect you?
You don't divulge in thirst traps.
Okay.
And that has shown me that I'm not just a priority to you, that I am enough to satiate you.
Okay.
And that has boosted my self-esteem and my self-confidence.
Why has it? Okay. Now we're going to have to really deep dive that. Why does that boost your self-esteem?
Because who wants their partner to fantasize about somebody else?
So by proxy, knowing that I'm not fantasizing about other people, it makes you feel good about you?
Yeah.
Okay.
It makes me feel like I'm filling your needs.
For men who spend time, see, this falls right back into the chasing thing, right? Because those men who subscribe to OnlyFans and are constantly in girls' comments and DMs, they are chasing a prize. If they were worthy of that prize, they wouldn't be chasing it in the first place, right? They would be known. Like, hey, here I am. I'm the prize now, right? So knowing that I don't do the thirst trap thing and I don't engage in social medias and that thing, you think that's gentlemanly? Like that sets me apart from other men?
Yes. Because back in the medieval times, 1400s, there were still red districts.
Yeah.
There was brothels. There was men cheating. I think even back then, that was a form of chivalry of you have my eyes and you are the only one who has my eyes.
Do you think that decreases your worry in us? Like,
what do you mean?
Like, does it decrease your worry in us? I almost repeated myself. Does it give you security in us?
Yes. And a stability.
Okay.
Gives me mental stability.
When we were in Vegas, I was scrolling Instagram and you videoed.
I did.
And you were like, I come out of the bathroom and he's on Instagram looking at animals.
Yeah.
So I don't have to worry about shit. And like, I was scrolling and like quick scrolling and it was like animal.
Yeah,
quick
you scrolled back
animal.
up.
Yeah. Okay, so what are some other things? From a woman's perspective, because I can theoretically,
right,
from my opinion, this is what a gentleman should be. But from a woman looking at a gentleman, like, you are going to have your own perception of what that looks like.
Another one that you didn't touch on was you're willing to shut down and hurt people's feelings for me. Especially women.
Elaborate on that one.
So there are women who take pride in being homewreckers. They have fantasies of sleeping with married men. And there are a vast majority of men, probably because they're miserable within their relationships, who do fall prey to that.
Yes. Yep.
So there is it goes back to the chivalry for me. My feelings are above all else, especially strangers.
Okay. So I'm going to give some examples just because you said that. And I thought of very specific, for instances, that I can lay into. I won't hold a woman's hand in prayer, right? Unless they're family. I'll put my hand on their shoulder or we'll lock arms. Like, I know that's weird. I know that's weird. But when we had our meet and greet in Tennessee, I put my hand on the person sitting next to me's shoulder. That's how I held their hand for prayer. I won't hug women, like, unless we know them. I'm not going to just run up and be like, oh, girl, what's up, and hug them. If a fan sees us in public and they're insistent of hugging you, like, that's fine. I will normally stick my hand out. I'm not trying to embrace you, hands. Right? Because I will hug another dude all day long. If you're a male fan and want to hug for me, I got you. I'm a good hugger. I will hug another guy all day long because we fucking need that. And I don't give a fuck if people think it's gay or not. And I'll hold you for a full 60 seconds if that's what you need, bro. I got you. But I'm not doing that to a woman because I don't need to have that. I think I believe that is crossing a boundary. I think that there's a time and place for it, though. If my sister needed a hug like that, I got you. If it was my mom, I got you. Or a cousin, even maybe like a super close friend that just lost their dog. But even in that scenario, I'm going to be like, you're in, babe. I don't want to do this.
There's an intimacy that comes with hugging, especially when people have a formed perspective in their mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know that you actually thanked me for the whole prayer thing because you noticed it.
I did.
And it's not something that I'm like, hey, babe, did you see that? I didn't hold her hand. Like, you were sitting to my left and I did this. But there's been other times where it's been similar things where people have tried to hug. I'm like, I don't hug. You know. So I'm glad that that's actually a thing for you. So that also adds to the security, right? So that you feel safe. Yeah. Which falls under protection. Okay.
You don't get frustrated at me for crying.
No, I don't. I get helpless when you cry. When you're happy crying, I don't. Yeah. I've gotten better about that. But when you cry, like when we're having a disruption in our day and you start to break down, I used to view that as manipulation. I know. I would think that women would do that because men don't do well with women crying, and because we're fixers, you guys would weaponize your emotions against us. Now, because I know you, like I fucking know you, your mannerisms and everything, I know that that's just who you are as a person, and sometimes you're just frustrated. Like I've seen you cry over some really weird shit, right? So like I don't feel like it's weaponized anymore. I don't feel bad about it. It's no longer, oh my God, how do I make this stop? Like how do I turn the water off? Like it's not a thing anymore. Now I understand that you're just processing, and it eliminates a lot of need to defend from me. That's actually a very comforting thing.
What?
To be able to be in this position.
Yeah.
It's peaceful for me. Like I don't feel
fight or flight.
Freeze. Freeze would probably be the right one there because I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Freeze would be I think the right one there. I think that it's important. Men are going to understand this probably more than most women will, but we don't know what to do when you guys cry. And like, it really makes us feel like we're failing because we can't make it stop, or we're the cause of it. It is very weaponized. Like it's hard for us to understand because we're not able to cry like you guys are. Some men y'all are a little soft, but that's a very difficult thing, and not having to worry about that is a whole new level of peace that I've never got to experience before.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah. But there's an understanding with that, and that comes from the communication that we have and the in-depth learning how to talk to each other. Love that shit.
I'm glad.
One more.
Okay, one more.
Okay, let me give you a scenario.
Okay.
You don't know me.
Okay.
Right? Or you did know me. Like, you know who I am right now.
Okay.
And you're out in public and you're looking for somebody who has characteristics of a gentleman based off of the lived experience that you have.
Okay.
What are you looking for?
Like what I have now?
Mm-hmm. What are 3 characteristics that you're looking for in a public setting? How about that?
He's situationally aware.
Okay. And how does that look for you?
Not blasé, but I guess just a calm scanning of the room. I'm aware of how you scan rooms. I pay attention to the people you pay attention to. I can tell when you're
uncomfortable.
You're like you're fixated on somebody, like you know that their intentions are not or could not be positive. So I would pay attention to somebody who does that, who carries on about their day, but they're very aware.
So not situationally aware in terms of like afraid of everything, but
right, or like, paranoid.
Okay. So not paranoid. That's a good way to put that. Way good way to put that.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I saw a gentleman, right, say somebody walked into them, hit him with their cart, whatever happened, and they reacted in a way of that's not aggressive, not what the fuck, like how could you not see me? If they reacted in a way of, oh, I'm okay, like, are you okay? Do you need help with anything? Like, if it's a reaction of kindness, I would take note of that.
Okay. So how you respond to things matter.
Right.
I think that actually says a lot about somebody. Because I do that. People bump into me like, oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
Because it could have been my fault.
Yeah, I apologize.
There's no reason for you to be shitty about that. And if you were like, what the fuck? They're going to be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But if you're like, I'm sorry, I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I bumped into you. Ha ha ha. Okay. They're going to pay more attention, obviously, because they're going to be embarrassed that they just hit somebody.
Right.
But that little bit of grace goes a long way. It goes a long way.
Yeah.
So situationally aware,
yes,
but not paranoid.
Right.
And having grace with others.
Yes.
Would you just fall into manners?
I would say so,
Okay.
yeah, manners. So I guess this is all based on a grocery store because I would also be paying attention at checkout. If the cashier is trying to engage in conversation of, oh, were you able to find everything okay? Oh, this is super good. My grandkids love it. All this kind of stuff. And the person is reacting of, yeah. Like they do not have the time to engage another person in conversation. I would also take note of that. Or if they were like excited to be able to converse with somebody for 5 minutes as they're checking out and it's not a hindrance to their life or an inconvenience, I would take note of that too. Okay.
So devil's advocate on that last one, then what if somebody is an introvert and does not have social skills? Does not have social skills.
I think it's pretty discernible to be able to tell who's an introvert versus an asshole.
Okay. So intentionally rude.
Right.
Okay.
I guess that would fall into how do you converse with people who are serving you.
Right. Okay, yeah, you're right. It does. It absolutely does. I mean, it's more manners, but I think that speaks to a man's humility.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're a doctor and you're making $200,000 a year, and you're at a grocery store and somebody's making $15, and you are engaging them in polite conversation and you're not looking down on them, it says a lot about who you are as a person. Because people put so much value, high value men is based off their bank account, right? Like that's the internet's bullshit. But if they are despicable human beings, there's no value in who they are as a person. What are you doing for your community? I enjoy these things. It gives me the ability to think about things, and then as I was typing this all up and rewriting some of these things, I was reassessing my life, and like the holding hands thing was going to talk about the sidewalks and the stairs and all of that shit because that was very big in the first one. And Steve actually brought up the hand holding thing. He's like, hand holding would be a good one to talk about. And I was like, that's a really good point because you've actually asked me to hold your hand more.
Yeah.
And I think about that. Like there are times where I'm like, give me your hand, because in the moment I'm like, hey, she asked me for that. This is a good opportunity to make her happy. But I also realize that in busy stores, I make it a point to grab onto you or you to grab onto me and I direct you. That's me being able to lead in a stressful situation. So when he said that, I went down that rabbit hole of like, how can I improve on this aspect of my life that I don't feel I do enough because I don't. And in hearing that and in thinking about it, writing about it, and now podcasting about it, it should be solidified that I can navigate you. And I think that we noticed that today when we went into Total Wine.
What do you mean?
When I was walking in, you were trying to walk into the exit and I was trying to lead you.
Yeah.
And I was like, where are you going? And you were like, oh, that's the exit. And I'm like, right, let me lead. And you're like, you're right. And you grabbed my arm and like we walked in the store that way.
Yeah.
But had I had your hand, I could have just dragged you where you needed to go, like caveman shit. Come on, woman. Captain Caveman.
It's kind of hot.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're an hour and 20 in. I want to do this. I want to revamp this list. Like as things come about or as I learn new things, I want to add it. I'm keeping this on the Google Drive.
Okay.
So that I can add things to this as it comes about. And then next year we can do a version 3 and maybe just not reiterate and be like, if you want to see the first one, you can put it here. So if you want to see the first one, it's right here or over there, wherever AJ decides to put it at 1 minute and 24 seconds ish. I'll text him that as soon as we're done.
Perfect.
But yeah, I don't really have anything else, but this was definitely fun for me. I can't wait for you to do yours and I can passenger princess while you talk.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm parched.
I'm hungry.
Yeah. What you gonna eat?
I don't know. Cheese, maybe.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen. Remember, you are the authors of your own life.
So grab a pen.
And we will see you on the next one.
Bye, guys.